Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Astotra Saptashi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Kantat Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaur Premananda. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Namo Om Vishnu Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And seventh canto, chapter 4, verse number 34 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasmin Mahad Guna Rajan.
Yasmin Mahat Guna Rajan.
Kriyante Kavibir Muhu.
Kriyante Kavibir Muhu.
Nate Duna Pidiyante. Yatha Bhagavati Shvare. Yasmin Mahad Guna Rajan. Kriyante Kavibir Muhu. Nate Duna Pidiyante. Yatha Bhagavati Shvare. Yasmin Mahad Guna Rajan.
Yasmin Mahat Guna Rajan.
Kriyante Kavibir Muhu.
Kriyante Kavibir Muhu.
Yatha Bhagavati Shvare.
Bhagavati Shvare.
Anyone else chant? Yasmin Mahad Guna Rajan. Kriyante Kavibir Muhu. Nite Duna Pidiyante. Yatha Bhagavati Shvare. Yasmin Mahad Guna Rajan. Kriyante Kavibir Muhu. Nate Duna Pidiyante. Yatha Bhagavati Shvare. Yasmin Mahad Guna Rajan. Kriyante Kavibir Muhu. Nate Duna Pidiyante. Yatha Bhagavati Shvare.
Yasmin Mahat Guna Rajan.
Yasmin Mahad Guna Rajan.
Kriyante Kavibir Muhu.
Kriyante Kavibir Muhu.
Nate Aduna Pidiyante.
Nate Duna Pidiyante.
Yatha Bhagavati Shvare.
Yatha Bhagavati Shvare. Yasmin.
Yasmin.
In whom?
In who?
Mahat Guna.
Mahat Guna.
Exalted transcendental qualities.
Exalted transcendental qualities.
Rajan.
Rajan.
O King.
Okay.
Kriyante.
Kriyante.
Are glorified. Kavibi.
Kavibi.
By persons who are thoughtful and advanced in knowledge.
And advanced
always.
always.
Na,
Na,
not. Te, these. Aduna,
Aduna,
today. Vidyante,
Vidhi,
are obscured.
obscure.
Yatha, just as.
Just as
Bhagavati,
Bhagavati,
in the Supreme Personality of
in
Godhead.
the Supreme Personality of God,
Ishvare,
Ishvare,
the Supreme Controller.
the Supreme Controller.
Translation. O King, Prahlad Maharaj's good qualities are still glorified by learned saints and Vaishnavas, as all good qualities are always found existing in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They also exist forever in his devotee Prahlad Maharaj. Repeat after me. O King,
O King,
Prahlad Maharaj's good qualities
Prahlad Maharaj's good qualities
are still glorified by learned saints and Vaishnavas, as all good qualities
as all good qualities
are always found existing
are always found existing
in the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
in the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
They also exist forever
They also exist forever.
in his devotee, Prahlad Maharaj. Prabhupada's purport. From authoritative scripture, it is learned that Prahlad Maharaj still lives in Vaikuntha Loka, as well as within this material world, on the planet Sutala. This transcendental quality of existing simultaneously in different places is another qualification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Goloka eva nivasati akilatma bhuta. The Lord appears in the core of everyone's heart, yet he exists on his own planet, Goloka Vrindavan. The devotee acquires qualities almost the same as those of the Lord because of unalloyed devotional service. Ordinary living beings cannot be so qualified, but a devotee can be qualified like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not in full, but partially. Om Gantimirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamaya Tate Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paritana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishakanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakapatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. O King Prahlad Maharaj's good qualities are still glorified by learned saints and Vaishnavas, as all good qualities are always found existing in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They also exist forever in his devotee, Prahlad Maharaj. We have, we have the line in the Sri Guru Charana Padma as the Vedic scriptures sing of his qualities. So in this case, it's Prahlad Maharaj, of course, but specifically in Guru Puja, we sing for Srila Prabhupada, and of course, then each disciple sings for his own spiritual master the same words, and so in material society, material so-called civilization, there's that famous quote from is it Nehru? Somebody asked him, "What do you think of Western culture?" You were just saying this the other day at Peories. What's your opinion of Vedic Nehru? He's, the way I heard it was, I think it would be a good idea. Like, it would be nice if there was some culture in the Western world. That would be a good idea. So it's kind of a sly, sarcastic way of saying that there is no culture in Western society, Western so-called civil. We call it civilization. In the United States, we were taught growing up that really the only civilization, the only culture is United States and maybe Europe, and outside of this, is what we learned growing up, that outside of the Western culture, there really is no civilization. But the real thing, the real fact is that it's exactly the opposite. The only real culture still remaining is in India. And even there, it's becoming less and less, but still it's India. And it's the land of Krishna. So culture, Prabhupada used the example of an elephant. When an elephant is alive, it's very valuable because it can do all kinds of really heavy work. And but even when it's dead, an elephant is still valuable for its skin and its tusks. So he compared that to Indian culture in the Kali Yuga, that there's still the original Vedic culture of the spiritual world as manifested uh, more than anywhere else in India is the most valuable thing, because the whole idea of Vedic culture is that the whole idea of the Vedic civilization is that it's a structure leading one ultimately back home, back to Godhead. Within the Vedic literature, there's all kinds of rules and regulations for and recommendations for many different kinds of sacrifices, austerities, spiritual practices that are not pure devotional service to Krishna, but they're given by Srila Vyasadeva for it's a structure which is meant to, everything is, there's different levels of the structure, and everything in the Vedic literature, Vedic Shastras, the culture is meant to elevate a person gradually to the real point of any kind of culture, Vedic culture. Veda means knowledge. So any kind of culture, the real goal of it, the topmost position, is to uh, transform one to any person anywhere in the world to pure devotional service to Krishna. All the other things, they're okay. The worship of demigods or different kind of meditation, different sacrifices, but they're only valuable insofar as they lead to the ultimate goal. Like if you're driving in your car and you have a big desire to go see like Disney World or Vrindavan, or Disney World is our Vrindavan in the United States. So they, right, you go, you're in your car and you're on a road and you have a really strong desire to go somewhere, but along the way you stop at various other places. If the kids are saying, I want to go here, I want to go there, or and you have a desire to go somewhere else, well, that's okay, as long as you end up at the destination. Uh, if you just go all different places, but you never get to Vrindavan, then what was the point? So yeah, so the Vedic culture is very good, but the whole structure is aimed at the conclusion of going back home, back to Godhead, pure devotional service, actual surrender to Krishna. Again, as Krishna says, Sarvadharman Parijaja, Mekam Sharanam Vraja, Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo, Mokshay Sham Mashucha. Just give up all other varieties of religion. In some places, Prabhupada translates that as just give up everything else and surrender to me, Krishna. I shall protect you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So all other varieties of religion would include worship of the demigods, which Prabhupada, Krishna directly states in the Bhagavad Gita as to be for less intelligent persons, or definitely any kind of materialistic religion, as the first verse of Srimad Bhagvatam states, Kaitava Dharma, what? Dharma Projecta Kaitava Nimatsaranam. So the ultimate religion, the real religion, is to be completely non-envious and free from all other any kind of material desire. Any kind of material desires was in the previous verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, was in the translation was described as any useless and insubstantial. And I'll tell one little story that one senior disciple of Prabhupada told me. It's a very sweet lady lives in Gitanagari for many, many years. Her and her husband joined and moved in the temple in New Vrindavan in 1970, and they had some very personal, special time with Prabhupada when he was there. And this is an incident later in her life, like several years ago, when her kids and her grandkids were going through all kinds of trouble and difficulty with education and work and health and all kinds of things. And so they were suffering a lot. And as their mother and grandmother, she was also suffering very greatly. She's this extremely soft-hearted, warm-hearted person for everyone, but of course, especially for children and grandchildren. And then so she's suffering so much. But then in her dream, one night, this is several years ago, and Krishna came to her in her dream, and she saw Krishna, and Krishna was very kind to her, and he smiled at her, and he said to her in her dream that there's no trouble, no difficulty that my beauty is not sufficient to overcome or destroy. And in her dream, she saw she was like she was in a very dark, troubled place. But when Krishna came to her in her dream, she saw that all this trouble, all this darkness was just like a fog that she could just easily just put her arm through it, put her hand through it. It wasn't substantial in her day-to-day life. It seemed to her extremely substantial. She's in so much distress, but in her dream she could see that. And Krishna smiled at her and said that to her, and she could see that all this trouble was just like a fog. There was really nothing there. And so I completely believe her that Krishna, that this is exactly what happened, and that Krishna definitely came to her in her dream, and and uh, uh, and he was real. His presence was real, not a dream presence, although he came to her in her dream. But anyway, that's the nature of any kind of material life, any kind of material sense gratification. What you think is so substantial, position in the material world, in business or government, or whatever kind of possessions we have, or whatever we have in the material world, it's insubstantial. It's not. It seems real. It seems solid, but it's not. It's like a fog. Like it is described as Maya. Maya means that which is not. That which is not, but it seems real. What do you mean, that which is not? My family, my house, my car, my job seems real to me, but it's not. It's not real. It's real in the sense that it's a real illusion. Prabhupada, yeah, the the impersonalists describe this world as the material world as completely unreal, and the spiritual world as real, and Prabhupada true, and sat, and this material world is asat. So in that sense, in the sense that it is Krishna's creation, it is Krishna's Maya, and Krishna's Maya is real in that sense, that that's what we perceive in the material world all around us. So in that sense, it's real, but it's temporary, and whatever we have will go in the course of time. Whatever we had in our previous lives, it's all gone. Nothing remains of what we had in our last life, or 10 lives ago, or 1,000 lives ago. Nothing is remaining from all those lives, and whatever we have in this life, it'll also go, and it won't stay. So it's unreal in the sense that it's illusion or temporary, but it's real in the sense that it's Krishna's Maya, and in that sense it's real. But for us, the devotees, we have to be able to see through the illusion, and we are. But the way we see through it is not the way that Mother Taruni saw through it in her dream and experienced it as completely insubstantial. We still see it as substantial, but we know philosophically we see through the eyes of Shastra, and that's the real seeing, Shastra Chakshu. We don't depend on our eyes. Prabhupada always gives the example that what can you see with your eyes? You see, my eyes are very good. I can see very clearly. I had one friend in high school who could read the small print of a newspaper from like 20 feet away. Of course, all I could see was a blur. So he had very good eyes, but he couldn't read a newspaper from a mile away, or he couldn't read the newspaper or see anything if someone turns out the lights and it's dark. So all our senses are like that. All our senses are imperfect. So Prabhupada always said, people always want to say, can you show me God? Uh, can you show me God? I want to see God. And Prabhupada always said that, first of all, he said, you're not qualified to see God because because of the original position of not wanting to see God, come to the material world because want to be independent from Krishna. But so Krishna, we didn't say, Krishna, I don't want to see you. I don't want you telling me what to do. I'm envious of you. So Krishna lets us come here and try to be the independent enjoyer, have some of our own influence, our own power. So Krishna, okay, you don't want to see me, then go to the material world. You don't have to see me if you don't want to. I'll always stay with you, uh, but you don't have to see me. So anyway, Prabhupada said, first of all, you're not qualified to see God. But second of all, what can you see with your eyes? Your eyes are. He used both examples. Prabhupada often or frequently attacked any question from two or three or four different points of view. Prabhupada was unlimitedly intelligent, and he got his arguments and intelligence is coming directly from Krishna. Krishna, Prabhupada said that I didn't write my books, but Krishna wrote these books. Of course, so anyways, Prabhupada was expert in argument or defeating any kind of mundane argument. And he attacked that particular one from a couple of different angles of vision. And so anyways, we're not qualified to see Krishna. Of course, the devotees are qualified to see Krishna on the altar. He's right there. Krishna and Radharani are right there. So we can see definitely Krishna. But materialist has no faith in the deity worship. They describe it as idol worship. The good example from the Chaitanya Charitamrita is the old Brahmin and the young Brahmin, and they traveled to Vrindavan together from many hundreds of miles away. How far is it from where they went to Vrindavan? It's hundreds of miles from Sakshi Gopal temple to Vrindavan, so it's hundreds of miles, and they walked on foot, and the old Brahmin was helped all the way by the young, healthy Brahmin, and walking, they finally got to Vrindavan, and the young Brahmin was helping the elderly Brahmin the whole time, and he was very grateful to his young friend, and he said, I promise when we get back home, you can marry my daughter. And the young Brahmin was like, he said, well, how can you promise that? You're a rich, aristocratic Brahmana, and I'm a poor, uneducated Brahmin, so your family won't let you have me marry your daughter. But the old Brahmin told the young one, he said, no, that's what I'm going to do. I'm telling you, when I get back, you marry my daughter. And the young Brahmin said, he even promised it before the deity in Gopal deity in Vrindavan, and as his witness. And so when they got back to their village, the young Brahmin came after a while, and he said, okay, you said I can marry your daughter. So, and the old Brahmin told his wife and kids, said, I told this young Brahmin you could marry my daughter, our daughter, your sister. And they were like, no, you can't do that. He's this not low, he's a Brahmin, but he's poor, uneducated. You can't do that. If you give your daughter in charity to this young Brahmin, we're going to commit suicide. It's like, it's so disgraceful. It will ruin our social standing and our good name. as aristocrats, and but the old man, the father, he said, "Well, I promised him, and what can I do?" And his son, his older son, he said, "Well, you just tell him." I don't really remember doing that. I don't really remember saying that. And the son said, "You just say that, and I'll make up a good story about it." So then the young Brahmin came again. He said, he brought it up in front of an assembly of villagers who came with him. And he said that again. And, the father said, no, he didn't have the assembly with him at that time, but he brought it up again to the family, and the father, he was afraid of what his wife and kids would say. So he said, "Well, I don't really remember, and I don't really, I'm old, I can't remember." And his son said, "Yeah, when the young Brahmin, he gave my father some kind of poison, and he's telling a lie." And so the young Brahmin went away in disgust, and then when he came back again with the villagers, um, as his witness. Oh, then he went to Vrindavan. He went again to Vrindavan, walking all the way, and he talked to Sri Gopal in the temple, and he told him the whole story, and Gopal, and he said, "You have to come with me, as you have to be my witness." And Gopal said, "Oh, I can. Well, how can I come with you? I'm a stone statue. How can I come with you?" And the young Brahmin said, "No, you're stone statue, but you're talking to me right now, so you can come with me. You can walk back to my village." And so Gopal said, "Okay, I'll come with you, and but I'll walk behind you, and I don't want you to look back, and you'll know I'm behind you by hearing my ankle bells." And so they walked back hundreds of miles, and then when they got near the village, the young Brahmin looked back, and Gopal stopped there. And then Gopal, he went to the village, and he brought all the other village people to see that Gopal had come with him to act as a witness. That's why he's called Sakshi Gopal. He's the witness. But anyway, the point I was getting to through all that was the the young Brahmin had made a deal with the brother, and he said he made a deal with him. He said, "Okay, I'll go to Vrindavan, and the deity will come back with me. And if he does, then you have to admit that it's the whole my story is true." And so the brother was like, well, he's just a deity. This is just a stone statue. It's never going to happen. So he said, "Okay, if that's what you want to do, okay, that's the deal." So because he didn't have any faith in the deity. Anyway, that's the crucial point, is that we can see Krishna on the altar. We can see Lord Jagannath on the altar, Balaram and Lady Subhadra. We can see Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda on the altar. We can see them because we see with the eyes of faith and devotion. So that's the one redeeming quality that we have as conditioned spirit souls, fallen souls in the material pool, is that we have faith. in Krishna. We have faith in our spiritual master. The materialist person sees the spiritual master sitting on his Vyasasana and being worshipped in all kinds of ways by his disciples and other people, and out of envy or unbelief, unfaithfulness, they just see, oh, who's this man sitting on, or woman sitting on the Vyasasana and being worshipped by all these other people? This is ridiculous. He's just a person, just like anyone else. He puts on a good show, but he's not anything special. He's just like you and me, as they say in the United States. He puts on his pants one leg at a time. That's for just a saying. He's just a regular person, but so they're envious and they have no faith. So they can't see the exalted qualities of the pure devotee of Krishna, whose quality is glories are sung in all the Vedic literature. We sing that every day. The qualities are so great that the topmost literature that can ever exist is spoken directly by Srila Vyasadeva, is glorifying in so many places the qualities of the pure devotees. And so all the devotees are great souls. Everyone here is in the classification of great soul. We have, it's not just something we say or something, just some formal way of speaking, but it's a transcendental fact that anyone who accepts Krishna and a pure devotee, representative of Krishna in his heart, as a supreme personality of Godhead and the supreme personality of servitor Godhead, anyone who accepts Krishna and is representative like that is a great soul. And we have faith, and we see them through the eyes of the Shastra. And Prabhupada speaks here about Prahlad Maharaj. He's this transcendental quality of existing simultaneously in different places is another qualification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Golaka eva nivisatya kilatma bhuta. The Lord appears in the core of everyone's heart, yet he exists on his own planet. Golaka Vrindavan. A devotee acquires qualities almost the same as those of the Lord because of unalloyed devotional service. Ordinary living beings cannot be so qualified, but a devotee can be qualified like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not in full, but partially. So just like on the original cover of the first canto, part 1 of the Srimad Bhagvatam, there's a picture of Radharani. It's Radharani and Krishna in the middle with the gopis around them and all the Vaikuntha planets surrounding them, and then the Mahatattva as a cloud. And then right beside Radharani and Krishna and the gopis, there's a picture of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda dancing, the Panchatattva dancing with the devotees, and Krishna coming in the Sankirtan movement. So, and that was Prabhupada's direction of how to paint that painting. So the lesson is obvious that Krishna is the same person, whether he's appearing with Radharani in Golaka Vrindavan or whether he's coming in the combined form of Radharani and Krishna on this planet. as Lord Chaitanya, and yeah, and so he is appearing simultaneously in that pastime and in unlimited other pastimes. It's not like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the pastimes are presented and seems somewhat like sequential, but it's not really sequential. There's even in the Bhagavatam, the pastimes go back and forth, like one millennium to a previous millennium, and it can be the pastimes in the Srimad Bhagavatam is actually are very amazing, to say the least. We use words like amazing, wonderful, things like that, and they're good words, but they don't really begin to describe, at least our material understandings of the words. They don't really begin to describe the transcendental glories of the pastimes of Krishna. All the pastimes are going of Krishna, all the incarnations of Krishna are going on eternally, simultaneously, in here and there and everywhere, and in all different planets, all different universes, all the different unlimited Vaikuntha planets in the Brahma situated in the Brahma Jyoti. So all Krishna's pastimes are going on eternally, simultaneously. And Krishna is in the heart of every living entity simultaneously. Is in the core of every atom. Krishna is everywhere simultaneously in his full glory. It's not that because Krishna is in a tiny form in my heart, in your heart, it's not that, or in the core of an atom, it's not that because Krishna is like really small in that form that he's like a small Krishna or something. Wherever Krishna is, he's there with his full glories and all his potencies. So all these things are inconceivable, transcendental, but they are reality. And in our purification, we'll be able to experience these things more and more. But yeah, and like Krishna appears in all the planets simultaneously, and so also there's descriptions of the six Goswamis who were uh, intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya in his pastimes in Navadvip, and also they're present with him as gopis in Goloka Vrindavan. And so the devotees, the devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, the six Goswamis, or um, so many great souls. Why, according to this verse in purport, why can't they be with Krishna in different pastimes simultaneously in different places? Anyway, that's what it says right here in black and white. Ordinary living beings cannot be so qualified as Krishna, but a devotee can be qualified like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not in full, but partially. Anyway, so I'll stop there. Any questions or comments? Yeah. Yeah. Well, Yeah. Well, I mean, the verse is there. Many verses are there. Living in, we fall once, obviously, because we're here, and but uh, but uh, you can you go back home, back to Godhead, then you've learned your lesson. You don't want to come back to the material world again. You learned your lesson, and you want to stay with Krishna eternally. But it's true that you can come again if you want to. Prabhupada said that also. So, but you always have your free will. So if you want to come back again, leave Krishna again, you can. You can. There's that girl. We are protected by Krishna, but Prabhupada, there's that one lady in the video that asked Prabhupada why, if Krishna knew that we're going to suffer in the material world, why does he let us come here? And Prabhupada said very forcefully, very emphatically, he said, "You forced Krishna to let you come here. You forced Krishna." Of course, you could say, "Well, how can you force Krishna?" That's the how can you force God to do anything? So, but the point is, not that you literally force Krishna, but in the sense that a child can force his parents to let him do something. Maybe not when he's a real little kid, but when he gets older or she gets older, teenager, then they become kind of like almost force their parents to let them do something that the parents know is going to make them suffer. The parents know it's just going to uh, cause them all kinds of trouble. So, but the kid is like, no, I want to do it, and you have to let me do it. And it's like with Raghunath Das Goswami, of course, it's a little different, but because he was running away to Krishna, but he wasn't running away to for sense gratification. But his mother, after he ran away a bunch of times, and he brought him back a bunch of times, and she told her husband, she said, "Well, let's lock him up. We won't let him run away anymore." And his father said, like, he has riches like Indra, the king of heaven, and he has a wife that's as beautiful as the goddess of fortune. So if those things aren't good enough to keep him here, then what good will it be to lock him up? He wants to go. So of course that's different because he's running away from Krishna. But the parents. I haven't had children in this life, but I've been a child in this life, and I remember what it was like as wanting to do something that my parents knew wasn't good for me, but they let me because they saw that I was determined. They didn't try to lock me up or anything, and yeah, so we, in that sense, we force Krishna, but then we go back to Godhead. We won't come again, and Krishna does protect us, but but yet we always have our free will, and if we want to, we can leave Krishna again. But Prabhupada said that you won't want to do it again. It's the age-old question that everyone asks, that I asked, and every devotee coming to Krishna consciousness wants to know, well, why, if I was in the spiritual world with Krishna and happy as anything and laughing and dancing every day, and why did I want to come from, why did I want to leave Krishna? And why did Krishna let me come here if he knew that I would suffer? Why? And it's a question that occurs to, I think, every aspiring new devotee, young devotee. We're always, everyone asks, we all ask the same question because it's like, in that sense, it's a logical question, and but we're not allowing for we're not accounting for the uh, reality of the situation that we do have a rebellious streak in us that are a tendency uh, uh, to not surrender to Krishna and to become envious of Krishna. It's there. It's a possibility in every pure spirit soul. And the fact of the matter is that every one of us here, we're all being good boys and girls now and trying to sincerely surrendering to Krishna and desiring to remember our original love for Krishna. And the devotees do have love for our spiritual masters. We do have love for Krishna in a sort of undeveloped state or infant state. But the devotee, we wouldn't be here for year after year if we didn't have love for Guru and Krishna. So we wouldn't chant and dance and serve so willingly and humbly and sincerely and with such dedication if there wasn't some love for Krishna. And the Lord Chaitanya, he said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I don't have any love for Krishna. If I had any love for Krishna, how could I maintain? Why am I still living? But obviously, we know that Lord Chaitanya is Radha Krishna combined, and Lord Chaitanya is praying in the mood of Srimati Radharani in separation from Krishna. But Srimati Radharani, Lord Chaitanya have the purest, most exalted love for Krishna. So we can say, we do say that I don't have any love for Krishna or the pure devotees in Bhaktivinoda Thakur and all Lord Chandas Thakur and all the Vaishnava writers and disciples, they'll say things like that. I'm the most fallen. I don't have any love for Krishna. But we know that they are pure devotees. And they do have pure love for Krishna. But they're not. But anyway, it becomes a very a complex thing. There's the path of love for Krishna stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita is like a snake. The path of pure love, even in this material world, we see the love between boy and girl can be very convoluted and people are bewildered by it. It can become very scary like that. But there's love there, and there's some love there, and but it develops in very anyway. That's not the best example, but the pure devotee's attitude, it used to be and still is like when I was first a devotee coming to the temple and I would hear statements in the songs like that by the pure, devotees would tell me, oh, these are pure devotees of Krishna and that are writing these Vaishnava songs. But in the songs, the devotees are saying, when will I have love for Krishna? I'm a fallen soul. I'm so low. I'm so this. So that is like a bewildering thing to me. Like they told me he's a pure devotee, but then he's talking like this in his song. It's like I couldn't. It's like, and it's still like that in my mind to some extent because I'm still on the mundane, so-called logical uh, platform. Materialists, they want everything to be logical. No, that doesn't. Your scripture says this in one place, but it says this in another place. It's not logical, and therefore we can't accept it. It's not true. It's just some old writings from some guy, maybe a really smart guy, but it is hundreds, thousands of years ago, as you say, 5,000 years ago, but it's not logical. So if it's not logical, it can't be true. It can't be, as you say, the absolute truth. Anyway, so I still have some of that. That's how I was raised for sure. And I still have some of that logical, so-called logical mentality in me. We have all the contaminations in us still to at least some extent. We have some impersonalism in us. We have some uh, uh, um, neophyte enthusiasm that I'm a pure devotee. What's it called? What is it? Pure devotee syndrome. What's the Sanskrit for that? What is it called? What? Sahaja. We all have some sahaja tendency. We all lust, anger, greed. We have all these things still in us. But to definitely a small, increasingly smaller and smaller extent, because we recognize them for what they are and we fight against them. And Krishna purifies us from them gradually. Okay, anything else? Yeah. Yeah. And it says uneducated too. Yeah. Yeah. Why didn't he just say, okay, forget it? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And Prabhupada says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the verses say, Shakti Gopal says that, you are both my eternal servants, and you come in this life to take part in my pastimes. So I just take it in that way, that it's just, Krishna, it's just Krishna's pastime that you acted like a Hiranyakashipu acted like a demon, or so many things. The Pandavas, they're all pure devotees. So why didn't they could have said, okay, you don't want to like Duryodhana, okay, you don't want to give us any land, okay, we'll just go off. We don't need anything. We're pure devotees. We just forget about it. We don't need a kingdom, even if it's only one village. So anyway, I just take it like that, especially because Gopal specifically says that you're both my pure devotees eternally, and you just come in this appearance to take part in these pastimes.
facilitate the Lord's pastimes.
Yeah.
Your devotees may show that they have some
Yeah.
Arjun's kidnapping also.
Yeah, so many things in the Krishna book. So many things.
The pastime of Mother Karuni that you mentioned this multiple times.
Yeah, it made such a big, deep impression on me. She's such a really great, great, great follower of Prabhupada and such a great, pure devotee. I have the greatest admiration and respect for her.
So in that connection, the lessons you share, how this material world, although it appears so called real, so it's nothing but a passing phenomenon.
Yeah,
Like fog, for example,
yeah,
passing our hand through fog.
yeah,
It's literally nothing. All the big buildings,
yeah,
skyscrapers,
yeah,
everything going on in this material world. But somehow still the mind gets trapped and the mind thinks that oh, all this is real.
yeah,
But Krishna's pastimes and all that may be something archaic, old, maybe imaginary. But the fact is that Krishna's pastimes, even when contemplated in the mind, or if some service is offered to Krishna in the mind, like that
yeah,
South Indian Brahmin who prepared,
yeah,
and it was all imagination. He was imagining he's offering the tea.
yeah,
But still, it's on the absolute platform because the Lord has accepted, and the
Yeah.
Lord will remember it
Yeah.
eternally, and He will also remember it eternally. So even though it's happening in His imagination, it is
real.
real. But the so-called real things happening around, even though they may be happening in physical space,
Yeah,
they are
unreal.
no
Temporary.
better than a dream.
Yeah, they are a dream. They are literally a dream. Not, yeah, yeah, that,
Really need to remind us.
yeah. Like everybody's worried about going to school and getting good grades and then getting a job and getting a family, or maybe not, but some aren't. But getting a family, getting a job, doing this, it all seems very real, and it really troubles your mind. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. But even in this life, never mind next life or eternally, even in this life, in 50, 60 years from now, it'll all be gone. The education will be gone, the family will be gone, the house will be gone, the car will be gone. Even in this life, everything will just comes and goes, comes and goes. Yeah. So that's just in one life. So we go through so many things in this life, and they all seem very real, very substantial, and they bother us so much. We worry so much. Oh, what about this? What about that? But it's even within this one life, it will all just okay.
That's why Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj said, die before time to live eternity.
Yeah,
Because we are putting so much heart into the temporary. If we put that much heart in the eternal service,
yeah,
we will realize the spiritual world even in the present life.
yeah, yeah. We're living in the spirit. We're living in Vrindavan. We're living in the spiritual world. This is the spiritual world. This is exactly what the sages of Naimisharanya were doing. This is exactly what Lord Chaitanya was doing with his followers, and we're doing the exact same thing. We have the same pastimes in the temple that Radharani and Krishna have in Goloka Vrindavan. We do Abhishek and Govardhan Lila and all the pastimes of Krishna, Radharani, and Vrindavan. We're living right now in Vrindavan. We're living right now in not Mayapur, in Jagannath Puri. Right now, we are doing Rath Yatra on the streets of Boston. It's not an imitation Rath Yatra, it's Rath Yatra. It's Lord Chaitanya's Rath Yatra ceremony. It's taking Krishna back to Radharani in Vrindavan. It's not a imitation. Okay, let's stop there. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Vishnu Krishna Prasthaya